Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Stories for Beginners. On this channel, stories become your teacher. We practice with the shadowing technique. Listen carefully, then repeat after me. Copy my voice, my speed, and my feeling. This trains your brain to think in English instead of translating. Today's story is called I Went to Montana. You will practice real English for airports, car rental, hotel check-in, park shuttles, trail safety, weather changes, and asking for help in national parks. Stay until the end, and you will feel your English grow step by step. Are you ready? Let's begin. Landing in Big Sky Country.
My name is Anna. I landed at Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport. The air felt cool and clean. Mountains stood like quiet giants around the runway. I followed the signs to baggage claim. I checked the carousel number twice to be sure. My backpack arrived with a bright tag. I smiled and said, "The trip begins."
Car rental questions.
I walked to the car rental desk. I said, I reserved a compact SUV. The agent asked for my driver's license and credit card. I added, "Do you have a map of the area?" He circled the highway to my hotel. He warned me about late-day wildlife on the road. I repeated, "Drive slowly at dusk and dawn." I thanked him and checked the fuel policy.
First drive, first stop.
I adjusted the mirrors before leaving the lot. The road stretched wide under a bright blue sky. I spotted a gas station with a small market. I bought water, trail mix, and a paper map. I asked, "Which route is clear to Livingston today?" The clerk pointed to a local detour for roadworks. I marked the detour on my paper map. A clear line made the drive simple.
Hotel check-in.
My hotel sat near the river. Pine trees moved in the wind like slow waves. The front desk greeted me with a welcome card. I said, "One night now, 2 more nights later." The clerk confirmed my second reservation carefully. She offered a bear safety flyer for tomorrow's hike. I took it and read each line slowly. I placed the flyer in my jacket pocket.
Ranger talk at the Visitors Center.
Morning came with cold sunlight. I drove to the park visitor center. A ranger welcomed visitors with a short briefing. I asked, "Is the trail to Hidden Lake open?" He checked the board for snow and avalanche risk. He said, "Open, but icy near the pass." He showed me the shuttle schedule and the last bus time. I set an alarm to avoid missing the return.
Packing the day pack.
I laid my gear on the bed. I packed water, snacks, and a light rain jacket. I added sunscreen and a small first aid kit. I attached a whistle to my backpack strap. I clipped bear spray to my hip belt. I practiced the safety motion once without spraying. I zipped my phone into a top pocket. I told myself, layers, food, water, time.
Shuttle to the trailhead.
The shuttle line moved quickly. I asked the driver, "Does this stop at Logan Pass?" He nodded and pointed to the posted stops list. I repeated the stop name to remember it. On the bus, I watched the road rise into snow. The mountains felt close enough to touch. I listened for the driver's soft announcements. I stepped off at the exact trailhead.
Reading the trail sign.
A wooden sign listed distances and warnings. It showed elevation gain and a time estimate. I traced the route with my finger on the map. The snow line started above the first ridge. I tightened my boots and checked my laces. I said, "Stay on the marked trail at all times." I took a slow breath of cold, thin air. I began with steady, small steps.
Trail etiquette.
The path grew narrow along a ledge. A group approached from the other side. I stepped to the downhill side and waited. I said, "Go ahead, thanks." They passed with a friendly nod. I learned the rhythm of passing on a mountain path. I kept my pulse close to my body. Polite moments kept the trail safe.
Weather shift.
Clouds gathered without warning. A light snow began to fall in the noon light. I stopped and put on my rain jacket. I covered my backpack with a small rain cover. I checked the time and the last shuttle again. The wind rose and then dropped. The snow changed to bright sun in 10 minutes. Mountain weather taught me to be ready.
Junction Confusion.
Two paths split near a clump of fir trees. One looked wide and trodden. One looked narrow but matched my map. I said, "Check the sign, not the footprints." The small arrow pointed to the narrow path. I followed the arrow, not the crowd. The right path felt quiet and right. A blue marker reassured me a minute later.
Wildlife encounter.
A ranger's voice carried from the slope. "Make noise and give space," he called calmly. A young elk crossed the trail ahead of us. We spoke in normal voices and waited. The animal moved through the brush softly. I pressed my bear bell once and stayed still. The group behind me whispered, "Beautiful." I felt thankful for distance and respect.
View and reflection.
The lake spread like a piece of sky. Ice floated like small mirrors near the shore. I sat on a flat rock and drank water slowly. I ate a handful of trail mix and breathed deeply. I said, "This is why we walk." A light wind touched the surface of the lake. Time felt wide and quiet. I packed my trash and stood up again.
Descent and small problem.
On the way down, my boot lace loosened. I stepped aside and retied the knot firmly. I checked the time and compared it to the shuttle. I walked with a steady, careful pace. A sign showed 1 mile to the parking area. My knees felt tired but strong. I took short steps and saved my joints. The trailhead came into view below.
Last shuttle and a backup plan.
A small crowd waited by the signpost. The driver said, "2 more buses today." I said, "If I miss this one, I'll take the next." I checked my backup water and snack. I reviewed the printed phone number for a taxi. I watched the bus arrive with relief. Everyone boarded in a calm line. We rolled down the mountain in golden light.
Dinner in town.
Back in town, I found a small diner. I ordered a hot stew and fresh bread. I asked the server, "What's your local favorite?" She suggested huckleberry pie after the meal. I wrote new words in a small notebook. I underlined huckleberry, trailhead, and switchback. Food and words warmed the evening. I walked back to the hotel slowly.
Missoula Detour.
The next day, I drove toward Missoula. A radio report mentioned construction delays. I pulled into a turnout to review the map. I asked a couple at a picnic table for advice. They marked a scenic route along the river. They said, "Watch for deer near the water." I thanked them and repeated the route aloud. The detour became my favorite road.
Museum and bookstore.
In town, I visited a small museum. A guide explained local history with simple stories. I practiced listening and asked for clarification once. I said, "Could you repeat that more slowly, please?" She smiled and explained the timeline again. I bought a postcard for my mother. I found a used bookstore on a side street. I carried a map and a story in my bag.
Packing to leave.
The last morning came too quickly. I folded my clothes and checked every drawer. I placed liquids in a clear bag for security. I printed my boarding pass at the hotel kiosk. My phone battery showed a low number. A spare power bank saved the day. I returned the rental car with a full tank. The agent confirmed the final receipt.
What Montana taught me.
Montana taught me to plan and to pause. It taught me to read signs, not guesses. It taught me to ask for help early. It taught me to respect the weather and wildlife. It taught me that small steps reach big views. It taught me that clear questions open clear paths. I took a last breath of pine and sky. I said, "Thank you, mountains. See you again."
Great job today. You listened, repeated, and shadowed each line with me. I Went to Montana shows how preparation, clear questions, and calm decisions make travel safe and meaningful. Shadowing works the same way. One line at a time, your English becomes smooth and natural. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, share it with a friend, and subscribe to English Stories for Beginners for more shadowing practice. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story. One page, one story, one step, your English will grow. Thank you for learning with me. See you in the next video.